This is a story about seeing connections. In this case, the connections between seagulls and fish and rain. I live near the coast, and so I see a lot of seagulls around here. You may have heard that when sailors, like explorers, were crossing oceans, seeing birds like seagulls was the first sign that they were nearing land. Now, I've been across the Pacific from Honolulu to San Diego on a research vessel, and I can tell you that it's 100% absolutely true. When you're in the middle of the ocean, you don't see anything, just sun, clouds, and water all around you. So why is this? You might think it's because the seagulls need a place to land for the night, but that's not why, because they could have followed our ship and landed there, and none of them did. One of the clues can be found here on the beach. You see all of this kelp washed up here. If you look in closer, here there's this empty clamshell. And the reason it's empty and broken is because the seagulls have broken open the clam to eat what's inside. Seagulls don't eat seaweed, they eat meat. When you're out of sight of land for over a week, it's really exciting to look out and see land on the horizon. And that's also the time when you start catching fish and seeing dolphins off the bow. And it's also about when you start seeing birds. I pointed out earlier that seagulls eat fish, clams, and other sorts of seafood. And so now we need to ask ourselves, why do we mostly find fish close to the coast? So that really comes down to what the fish eat. Some fish eat smaller fish. But at the base of the food chain out in the ocean, what is eaten are very teeny tiny microscopic creatures. In general, most of these are photosynthetic organisms, so they take sunlight and carbon dioxide and turn it into food, as plants do here on the land. And really, they can do that anywhere. And they do. There are these teeny tiny organisms out in the middle of the ocean, and fish could eat those. But even though there are these little microbes out in the middle of the ocean, there aren't nearly as many of them. There are 1/10 to 100th of what we find close to land. And in order to understand this, you have to understand two things: ocean currents and rain. You see, carbon dioxide is not all these microorganisms need. They also need small amounts of other nutrients, like iron. So where do those nutrients come from? The answer is they come from the land, believe it or not. Even out in the middle of the ocean, any dissolved nutrients have washed off the land. When it rains and the rainwater collects and runs into little streams, and the streams run into rivers, and the rivers run to the sea, that water picks up tiny bits of soil and carries them with it to the ocean. And when it gets to the ocean, it doesn't mix evenly. It gets mixed very unevenly by these currents that move around the ocean. Now, there's a reason these currents are the way they are, and I'd like to talk about that in another video. But for now, just know that the nutrients move along the currents, and in the middle of those big circles, which we call gyres, there aren't very many nutrients. When there aren't many nutrients, there aren't very many little tiny cyanobacteria making food for the tiny things, and where there aren't very many tiny things, there aren't very many small fish, and where there aren't very many small fish, there aren't very many big fish. Basically, where there aren't many nutrients, there aren't very many birds either. Another way to think about it is that rain brings nutrients, Nutrients bring small microbes, microbes bring fish, so you tend to get a lot of fish off the coast of areas that get more rain, like here in the Pacific Northwest, as opposed to off the coast of somewhere dry, like the coast of California. But no matter where you are, if you're in the middle of the ocean, you're less likely to find nutrients as compared to close to the coast. And that's why you find birds close to land. Hey everybody! Hope you learned something from this video. If you did, click that like button and also subscribe to my channel because I've got another exciting science video coming up next Tuesday, as well as a video coming out this Saturday about the scientific process. If you have a science question that you want answered, leave a comment down below and maybe I'll make a video about it. See you soon!